Hey guys, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on the post notification. This video, okay, it does sound a little braggy, but I'm not trying to be braggy. I never give myself credit for my talent or anything like that. So today I decided I'm gonna film a video talking about what it's actually like training to be a pop star. In my case, and I'm gonna kind of, even though I'm not trying to make it braggy at all, it's just I don't give myself credit. And that is something that, and something, exciting happens, I became an Abby favorite, I gave myself 2 minutes. 2 minutes where soon as she said it, and I was at first, it took me a minute to process it because I'm wait, that it was too good to be true. It was one of the where it took me a minute to process it and realize that it's actually real and not a dream, and that I'm not dreaming, because also I was kind of confused about it at first because I was just generally only kind of confused on it because, sorry, I was plugging you in, but I was definitely kind of confused on that, and I'll explain that in a minute. But after 2 minutes of celebration, that sort of thing, after I told my parents, and it was okay, it happened, and time to get back to training. Your 2 minutes are up. I don't give myself credit sometimes. And so make sure you subscribe, turn on the post notifications, follow me on Instagram at LollyForever, and follow me on TikTok at LollyForever1. And ignore my messy hair. I want to start with that because, well, I'm going to actually start, I'm kind of skipping over I'm skipping over the very, very beginning, because the very, very beginning was oh, I took dance class for 6 months on one class a week, and with 3 different styles of dance, and then that was when it was a fun thing and not really, yes, after the first class is when I decided I want to make this into a career, I want to become a pop star. But even then, back then it was definitely more of a fun thing. So I'm skipping over that and jumping straight to last year when I really started. And so last year it started with a master class on Zoom with Abby Lee Miller, Gianna Martello, and a teacher named Melissa. And now here's the thing, I did not do Gianna Martello class, and I will explain. Because first up, what had happened was I saw it and I'm I really want to do this. I convinced my parents, I signed up for the class, and then a couple days after I signed up, because at this point, it was a couple days away, and basically that day turned into kind of a family day, and I'm looking at it now. I don't, looking at it now, I'm happy that I made that day more of a family day, because of the fact that what I do does take up so much time, and that's something that doesn't happen too often, because I'm so busy training to be a pop star. So I'm really happy that ended up being a family day. But there's actually a whole little story and stuff. So what happened was we thought it was at a certain time, and we thought it was at a certain time. So I woke up really early, thinking it was at some time really early in the morning, and I found out that that was going to be like a family day afterwards. And then I logged on, I waited, and then nobody logged on, like it never started. And my dad emailed them, and then we found out it was actually not our time zone. It was not our time zone. So we had a little bit of time. But I was really excited that day. And then, like, I was just really, really excited that day. And I was figuring it out, like, trying to figure it out. Like, I logged on when it was time. And then all of a sudden, and like, someone, I think it was one of Abby's assistants, and like said mute. So like, I muted. Well, it took me like 2 seconds to figure out how to do that, but I figured it out, and that worked. And so like, I muted, and then when Abby logged on, I was just beyond excited. Like, I was really, really excited, and like I dreamed of meeting Abby, and like little did I know that was gonna be the start of something way bigger and way cooler than I ever imagined. And that was like the start. I took Abby's class. It was amazing. It was 1 hour, and she didn't say anything to me. And so like, I remember wearing this all like green outfit. Like, I had a green leotard and some like kind of tie-dye, like, I almost like a mint, like a really light green. It was like a really light green and white like pair of leggings, and it would look kind of tie-dye. But it wasn't like straight green. It was kind of like a really, really, I don't know what it's called. No, it was slightly lighter than like a mint green or something. But apparently, and when I put it on, I didn't even realize that like at first it took me like a couple seconds to realize, oh, I'm wearing a pretty much all green outfit. But then what ended up happening, but I didn't care, it looked good. And a green leotard and some like green and white leggings, like it looked good. Then I took Abby's class, and then I took Melissa's hip hop class, and that is when I realized I want to do this. Like, I want to do this. Like, I love. And that's when I realized that, like, it was my first time really doing hip hop in class. And so it was like, that's when I discovered I love hip hop. Hip hop's my favorite style. Well, because it was my first time doing hip hop in class. So yeah, into like a hip hop class. And then, and right at the very end of her class, like families started showing up, and more families showed up, like, and at that point I'm like, okay, I've been in class for like almost 2 hours at this point. I really want to meet Gianna Martellos. I've been in class for almost 2 hours, and I'm hungry, and like, today's a family day, and like, I want it to be a family. Okay, so I went like, I'm gonna, like, finish this class. I'm gonna quickly meet Gianna Martellos, and then I'm gonna log off. And that's what I did. And then I went and I ate lunch and spent the rest of the day as a family day. And that is the only time that I have ever cut class. Like, that's the only time that I can think of where I, like, cut class to make it, like, a family. Oh, wait, no. I was about to say that's the only time I cut class to make it a family day, but that is not true. one other time that comes to mind. But like for the most part, I have a rule that I do not skip class anymore. Like I don't skip class, as especially like even if it's like, oh, like I'm gonna be a family day, I'm gonna be in class, unless it's like an emergency. Then in that case, that is something more my parents would handle, and yeah, but like I'm gonna be in class situation, unless I'm skipping for a really good reason, and or a concert. But I'm like, okay, like it's gonna be a family day. Like it ended up being a family day, and then the next week is when I took another master class, and that is when. And so what actually happened? Cause I'm gonna give you the full story. And like the next week, and we were supposed to have Abby, Anna Martello, and then some other guy. I forget who it was, but like some other like guy teacher. I think it was Taylor or Tyler. I forget. But anyways, we were supposed to be doing like Abby's like warm up and stretch, and then Gianna Martello was gonna be teaching a dance mom combo, and then and that and I remember that dance mom combo, cause that, let me think here for a minute. Yeah, I'm correct. That is when we earned the prom. It was a group dance, and it was the national group dance for season 8, and it was a musical theater number, and I never done musical theater up to that point, so it was something different, but really, really fun. I love that dance. Like, that is honestly one of my favorite dance mom dances. And it's just a really fun dance to, like, actually dance. And we were supposed to be doing like a ballet class. So I'm familiar with ballet at that point. Done multiple classes. But ended up, one thing led to another where, where Abby ended up not being able to make it that day. So they did a makeup Friday class. So like they did the class that she was supposed to be teaching, but they did it on Friday. And that class, I remember just having fun that day. Like, it was just a lot of fun. And, like, the fact that we were doing that, like, dance mom dance, that was just amazing. And, but that Friday, I did the Friday class. Which was it was a warm up and stretch class. They were doing to make up for Abby not being there. So anyways, what happened was that is when Abby made me a favor. And at first, I was like, I had a lot of things. First, it took me a minute to process it. And it also, like, took me a minute to wrap my head around it because I was very much confused. And then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, oh wait, that makes sense. Because the reason I say that took me a minute to process it was that is something that, like, I didn't think would ever happen. Like, it was too good to be true. And then it took me a minute to, think. It also took me a minute to, I was confused for a minute, and the reasoning was because I was confused on why, because she didn't really say why. Like, that's the one thing. Like, she didn't really say why, but she made it very clear she liked me as a dancer, and I'm gonna take it as a person, and because, and like, she really only. Actually, I was gonna say she really, no, what I was gonna say was correct. Like, for a second, I thought I was about to missay something. But she really only sees me in dance class. Like, and at that point, it was only in dance class. But since then, she has seen me one other time, which was not for dance class. It was for a Ask Abby, like, Zoom Q&A thing that we got access to, and it was a lot of fun. But I remember being like, what? Like, why? And then I realized I'm like, because of the fact that she didn't say anything to me the week before. Or she didn't say anything, and that made me work harder. And then at first, the reason I was saying why is because it was a class based around flexibility. And at the time, my flexibility was embarrassing bad. Like, it was really bad. I was not flexible at all. But it has improved quite a bit. Like, at the time, the only, like, trick that I really had, well, actually I had 3, which was a back bend from my knees, a side tilt, and then I don't know what it's called, but it's where I do a half split. It's a half split where I bend my back knee up. I bend my back leg up. Like, I do this. In a half split. Because I'm on the couch, I cannot show you, like, in a half split. But that's the idea behind it, like. So anyways, like, I wasn't really flexible, and then I realized I'm like, because I feel like she saw that I wanted it. She saw that, like, I pretty much, without using words, and without actually, like, saying anything to her or putting it in the chat, I feel like I showed her, hey, I may not be flexible, I may not be the best, I may have a lot of things to work on, but I'm going to do everything I can to work on them. I'm going to work hard for them. I want this, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to impress you one day. And, like, I really showed her that, like, this is something that I love. I want to impress you. I'm willing to put in the work situation. It was like, I wanted those situations, and it, like, worked out. That day was, like, a really fun day. And then after, like, afterwards, I, like, told my parents, and then that was, like, my celebration. And like, I do say it on, like, in YouTube videos and stuff sometimes, because it is something exciting that happened. And it is something that I didn't really celebrate, because I was kind of like, oh, I just gotta keep working. And I just gotta keep working. And then, and yes, actually the next time I saw Abby, here's the thing, I was, like, fine. Like, I was generally fine. And then the next time I saw Abby, I don't know what it was, but the next time I saw Abby, for some reason, I was just a wreck. And I'll admit, I was a wreck, and I didn't realize it. Why until I started in class. And I don't really, it wasn't me being nervous or anything. I don't really know the reason, because there really wasn't a reason behind it, but the next time was an acrobatics class, and we all know my acro is bad. It's not great. And now it's like, it's kind of improved, because now I can do a couple cartwheel tricks, but it's not great. And then at the end of that class, Abby, like, specifically, like, had me on mute. We talked for a minute, and she literally, I don't even remember what she said, but I remember not being a wreck since then. And like, it was something like, she said something along like, I remember her saying something to do with like, you can't let me down and you're working hard or something. It was like something to kind of go in that direction, but I don't remember what it was. And it wasn't like, oh, I was a wreck and like I needed someone to say something. It was, I'm kind of a wreck. I don't know why. I wasn't nervous. There really was no reason why. Like, I wasn't nervous. I wasn't worried that I was going to let her down or anything. It was just kind of like, I was just kind of a wreck for no reason, and there really was no reason, and it was one of those where I needed her to say something. And when she said it, what she said, I had not been a wreck since then. And there have been days when I like gotten annoyed with myself for like messing up on like very basic beginner things, but then I'm like, I'll get annoyed with myself, I'll blow up at myself in my head, and then I'll work on it and I'll fix it, and then I'm good. But that is more because it makes me work really hard. So like training to be a pop star, like a lot has happened, and it's really cool. Like to think that because I'm training to be a pop star, it's really cool. I get to meet a lot of famous people. like 2 weeks ago from tomorrow, I met XOMG Pop on Zoom because I was in a dance class with Guy Group, and it was a free like hip hop class with Guy Group. I'm sorry, but anyway, it was a free hip hop class done by Guy Group, and I met XOMG Pop. Like I met a lot of famous like dance teachers and people because I'm training to be a pop star, and I feel like that is really incredible. Well, the downside to it is like parents do pay a lot of money between dance classes and singing lessons, but it's also worth it because I have made massive improvements throughout like the past year, and honestly, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Sorry, I'm checking the squad Instagram story. Okay. But anyway, like, I have made massive improvements. Yeah, and actually last month I started singing lessons, and that has been going good. It's all been going really good, and so, like, I feel like when you hear the sound of, like, training to be a pop star, it almost sounds like, oh, it's training, so, like, you don't really get much from it. You're kind of just paying a bunch of money for it. But honestly, I feel like training to be a pop star is like really, really fun. Like I feel like when you hear it, or at least for me when I hear it, and not anymore because now I'm like living it. But before when I would hear it, I'm like, oh, that means taking dance classes and maybe singing lessons, like, and that's it. But now that I'm actually, and yes, those are parts of it. And like now that I'm living it, it's way more than that. It's like yes, taking dance classes and sometimes singing lessons and paying a bunch of money for dance classes and singing lessons. But it's also being able to dance all the time and like being able to work on singing and stuff. But also meeting famous people. Like that's the part that I never expected. Like, I was in dance class, like, 2 weeks from tomorrow, taking a hip-hop class with Guy Group on Zoom, completely free. And I met EXO and G-pop, and I danced for them. Like, that's just incredible. And also, there is a lot that comes with it, and it's all really, really incredible. I am gonna say peace out. I might make, like, a part 2 going with another section of, like, this sort of stuff. Like, one day. Well, definitely one day, but, like, we'll see when. Peace out.